Well, this August marks 5 years since actor Robin Williams took his own life. Still, after all this time, hard to digest that such a prominent actor would take such an action. We're also coming up on 1 year since designer Kate Spade died by suicide. Yet again, hard to wrap your head around it. The list goes on. Anthony Bourdain, Christophe St. John, and those are just the famous names. In each and every case, the question still looms. Why? Well, our next guest has felt that pain in a way that no mom should ever have to. With us this afternoon is the founder of the Kenny Moore Foundation. This is Lori Coverdale. Thank you so much for joining us, Lori.
Thank you.
It's wonderful having you. So this all started around Kenny. He was the one that spurred you on to making this foundation. Tell us about Kenny.
Yep. So Kenny was my firstborn, my oldest son, and he was wonderful. He was a great child. No real issues of any type. Went through high school, graduated, went to Del Tech. He had a great job. He was living on his own. And on August 23rd of 2013, he took his life. Total shock. We had no warnings.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for sharing the story. So there was no real indication that there was anything you needed to pay attention to.
Right. No, not at that time. I mean, we thought things were great. He was, like I said, living on his own, 22, had a great job. He'd saved up enough money. He had just purchased like a new pickup. You know, all the things a 22-year-old kid, I felt like he was loving life. I mean, He was great. Like I said, money, great job, everything was great. So after we lost him, I went almost crazy trying to search out for the answer because I didn't know. Like, how can this happen?
Right.
You think your child's normal, everything's great, but then all of a sudden you get the knock on the door where your child, has passed away. So Kenny was diagnosed in 2014 of Chiari malformation, and Chiari malformation is a deformity of the brainstem. And so when he was 14, he was diagnosed. And during that time period, he had two corrective action surgeries.
Right.
The only problem he had was a little bit of tingling in his extremities. That's how he was diagnosed. Did the surgeries, numbness, tingling went away, everything was great. And doctors, both neurosurgeons that he had, both surgeries, had told me just to watch out for the neurological side. Like if he had trouble swallowing, walking, that sort of thing.
Right.
So never did I ever think that it could have an underlying issue with his mental illness and, possibly stir up his brain chemistry or whatever. We still don't know. We still don't know to this day if it had a part of it, if that was one of the factors. Was he in pain or was he having trouble? He didn't want to have another surgery.
Yeah.
We don't know that.
So it could have been. We just went through a list of famous people. But suicide is prevalent here on Delmarva as well, isn't it?
It is, yes. And it's just something that is so hard. People don't want to talk about it. They think that with the stigma, they think that if you talk about it, it's going to happen. And that's so far from the truth.
Right.
We need to talk about it more because just because you talk about suicide doesn't make someone suicidal.
Yeah.
If you talk about cancer, it doesn't make someone have cancer.
Have cancer.
But the sad part is it's just so not talked about, and there are so many people that just feel so alone, and we can actually help them.
Right. I just want to share some statistics here real quick. 10th leading cause of death nationally. 80% of individuals considering suicide give a warning to a friend or a family member. A person dies by suicide every 13 minutes in the United States. You have made it your mission to talk openly about this. Is that how is the foundation coming into play here?
So I decided to, after my son passed, like I said, I was just at a loss. I didn't know. For me, I needed to talk to someone. Like I wanted to talk to everybody who had suicide in their family, who knew about suicide. I have a younger son as well. I was worried about him. It was to the point where I felt like I was like interviewing counselors, like, tell me what happened, tell me what I did wrong. Because as a parent, you take responsibility for your children.
Yeah.
And, when you have this wonderful child that has hardly given you any problems, like he was a great kid. And, I'm thankful, I'm blessed that, he was a good kid. And to know that he got in a place so dark that he couldn't either come to me or reach out to anybody, it just it tears me up. Like it's
So-
just one of those things that.
So tell me about your event coming up May 22nd.
Yep, May
A comfortable
22nd.
conversation with Kevin Hines. What's going on here?
Yep. So Kevin is an advocate for mental health and suicide prevention, and he tried to take his life when he was 19, and he is very much a part of wanting to talk about it. Wanting to share his story so that you learn. You can be taught. He can teach you
Right.
things about his experiences and that sort of thing. He's going to be there to speak for us. That's going to open the door, hopefully, to the foundation wants to start comfortable conversation sessions. Where we're going to start probably in July. So like it might be a comfortable conversation on depression. It might be a comfortable conversation on anxiety or grief,
Right.
sibling loss, that sort of thing.
It's a free event. Give me the wheres and the whens.
Sure, it's at Polytech High School, Wednesday, May 22nd. Starts at 5:30, the doors open, and the actual speaking event will start at 6:30. We have the Mental Health Association from Delaware that will be there, and the National Alliance of Mental Illness, NAMI, from Delaware. They'll be there with vendor tables and have some information about their agencies and what they do. Neither one will be speaking. They're just going to be there with
Right.
their vendor information.
Yeah.
We do have Robert Dunleavy who will be speaking for us. Actually, he'll speak prior to Kevin. He is a director with a division of children, youth, and families for the state of Delaware.
So let me ask you a question. How do you think Kenny would feel? Would he be proud of you for becoming such an advocate?
Yes, because he had a heart of gold and he always wanted to help people. And I know that, this is a message that we have to get out there to people, that we have to have, it has to become more comfortable, and we have to help save lives.
There's always you're never alone.
Correct.
You're never alone. Lori
right.
Coverdale, founder of the Kenny Moore
Thank you.
Foundation, thank you so much for talking to us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Delmarva Life will be right back.